Hi, I'm Darrin Campbell, CEO of Namibia Critical Metals. We are developing the Lofdal heavy rare earth project in Namibia. Our project is fully funded under our joint venture with the Japanese government agency JOGMEC. We're fully permitted with a 25-year mining license and moving to deliver a PFS on our project in late October this year.
Darrin, good to see you. And it's been a while. I think we spoke last September. I wanted to catch up. Rare earth market, as volatile as ever it seems, and people are looking at it and going, why should we even be looking at the rare earth space? So, first of all, if you don't mind, on the macro, what's happening out there?
I actually was just attending a Rare Earth Industry Association in Japan a few weeks ago, and one of the recurring themes of that conference was at these prices, which are at a 10-year historical low for rare earths, they're not viewed as sustainable for long term. So hopefully we're at or near the bottom. There's been a really disconnect between the typical demand-supply reactions of most commodities as it pertains to rare earths. The industry believes that's coming to an end soon, we hope, and we'll start to see an upward trajectory in rare earth prices. So I think now is a good time to hedge against what's expected to be rapidly rising rare earth prices over the next decade.
Right. Okay. So deals abound, deals to be had if you're brave enough. But what are just to kind of make me feel comfortable? What are the drivers here? If you think China's not even making money at these prices, what's going to move these prices forward? Where's it coming from?
Well, you're starting to see Western governments now putting forward real money into developing and diversifying the supply chain away from China, more in the midstream and downstream into, rare earth separation plants, metallization plants, and ultimately magnet manufacturing. All of that takes huge capital and time, which it's starting to happen. From the upstream side, though, with the explorers and early stage developers like us, our lifeblood is still risk capital, and you're starting to see some funds come back, financings come back into the market right now after a 2-year dismal period we had for most rare earth projects, which had their market capitalizations halved or more. Starting to see some signs of hope coming back into the market.
Okay, I'll try and understand some of the variables before we kind of get into how you're inserting yourself into the space, right? So one of the things that, is, I guess, different about your project, or certainly rare, pardon the pun, about your project is you're focused on the heavy. So maybe explain what that is and what the market is for that.
Yeah, our project is primarily a dysprosium terbium deposit, which is very different from most of the other light rare earth projects, which are NdPr, neodymium praseodymium. The DYTB, which makes up about 85% of our basket of our project, are the two of the highest value of all rare earths, and they are critical metals used in permanent magnets. So we are relatively a small project, small deposit, but has much higher basket value than typical rare earth projects that you see all of the world.
Okay, so hopefully higher margins somewhere down the line when you start extracting and selling, processing, selling. Again, Namibia, for some, great unknown. You're just north of Weiss, where I've been. I like the country, know the country. I know you can do business there, but maybe explain why Namibia is not a bad place for you to do business.
Namibia is a fantastic jurisdiction. We've been operating there for over 10 years, 12 years now. I've heard Namibia referred to as Africa for beginners. It's a wonderful location, sparsely populated, very mining friendly, strong rule of law, and a well-established regulatory regime to work within. They are, I think, number 3 exporter of uranium in the world. So they're used to dealing with radioactive material and have a very well-established set of environmental and regulatory guidelines to work in, which benefits us as a rare earth company, which has a little bit of thorium and uranium in our deposit. So it's a fantastic jurisdiction to work in.
Okay, let's get into the project proper, because there's so many moving parts in it. You talk about being a small project, but you've kind of got a couple of offtakes going on. You've got your JOGMEC deal, you've got gold spinouts or gold deals that you're doing as well. So Let's focus on the rare earth bit for now. Right, JOGMEC, again, for people who don't know, explain who they are and what the deal is.
Yeah, so JOGMEC is our joint venture partner. They're earning at least 50% of the project with an option to go up to 74%. They are a government agency of Japan. They have an annual budget of about 13 billion US, and their mandate is to secure supply of natural resources for Japanese industry. So JOGMEC has invested in well over 100 early stage projects all over the world over the last decade. And their most notable investment is in Lynas, which is the largest rare earth project company in the world. They've invested in Lynas over 300 million US to date to secure supply of light rare earths. They've turned their attention and did a deal with us to be a potential long-term supplier of the heavy earths, dysprosium and terbium. So they've now earned 40% interest in the project. We are about 3/4 of the way through the full earning period for them to spend $20 million to earn 50%. They're at about 14 million as of today. And with that partnership that we've had with them, we've made really impressive milestones in advancing this project. I've referred to us as being small. One of the knocks about us, 10 years ago was that we were really small. We only had about a 6 million ton resource, 6-year mine life. With the funding that JOGMEC has given us over the last 3.5 years, we've increased the size of the dysprosium and terbium resource in this project dramatically to be a globally significant deposit. We just put out an updated mineral resource estimate earlier this year in April, and we are now we've brought our resource from 6 million tons, to 6,000 tons to 94,000 tons of contained TREO. And we are now looking at a mine life of about 20 years that we'll be putting in our PFS. And there's still significant upside on exploration to grow this even more. So we've made really good strides with JOGMEC, and just as important as the resource and exploration and finding the deposit, with a rare earth project, you also need to know how to process it. So we've spent quite a bit of the money that JOGMEC has invested in flotation and processing. So we completed a pilot plant flotation test work earlier this year with SGS Canada, and that proved up our reproducibility of our grinding and flotation regime, and to be able to scale it up to production. And we were able to produce 100 kilograms of concentrate that is now being used in a pilot hydrometallurgical test work, an acid bake. So all of that work is all being compiled into our first PFS on the project, which we expect to come out in mid to late October.
Okay, so the PFS is not far away. And before we kind of move into the world of DFS, etc., let's just want to be clear on this deal. So far, JOGMEC has spent 14 million. The first 10 million bucks gives them 40%. They spent 4 of the next 10, which will give them another 10%. So it'll be up to 50% at that point. And then I think there's also something in there about another 5 million bucks gives them 51% control. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. So they can purchase another 1% to get control with a $5 million cash payment. And then at that stage, we have the optionality to either participate at 44%. 5% is held with historically disadvantaged Namibian group as part of our mining license requirements. And so we can participate at 44%, or we can elect to not invest any more money and be diluted down to a carried working interest of no less than 21% by repaying back that $5 million cash payment. So a fantastic optionality for our shareholders, which potentially brings to the table a fully funded project. And when I say fully funded, I mean all the way through to commercial production.
Right. Okay. So what we're saying is that you could be sitting with no less than 21% at the end of this free carry,
and not invest anymore.
And when you say again, because the interesting bit here is when people talk about fully funded, they mean different things to different people, and open to interpretation. But you're saying that at that point you could choose to sort of sit back, I guess, and treat this like some kind of royalty, effectively.
Absolutely.
quite a chunky royalty.
Yeah, 21%. And 5% again is a free carry for the Namibian historically disadvantaged group as well. So great optionality.
But what's the time frame we'd be dealing with there? Just to be clear, because it's all right sitting back, but if you kind of got big overheads, we're sitting back waiting for 20 years. That's a different type of investment. So how do you view
the
it?
decision point will come after the DFS is delivered. So we expect to deliver the PFS, as I said, in mid to late October. We're immediately moving into a DFS, which will take 10 months or so. And at that stage, we expect the full $20 million earn-in will be spent by JOGMEC, and then within 3 months of then they have to make a decision point, and we do, of participating or being diluted and move into production, make a production decision. So particularly, possibly within a year.
But you've got to take a view on the market at that point, because they'll give you $5 million to give to get a controlling interest, for that 1%. You could say, well, we'll give it straight back to you because we'll just take the 21% free carry on this one. Or you say, actually, I'm now looking at the market and maybe we will participate moving forward. Have you got any sense of what that could equate to in terms of how much we'd have to go out and raise if you did want to participate?
Yeah, so the Capex for this project is relatively small compared to most rare earth projects. We're looking at, in the PEA, it was only $207 million US was the Capex. We expect to have a little higher Capex in the PFS because of the inflationary environment we've had since 2020. But I would expect it still to be in the 250 million range. So that's relatively small for a rare earth project.
But how do you manage that? Because obviously sitting at 10 million market cap today, that'd be hugely dilutive if there was any equity component there. If you could go out and raise it predominantly as debt off the back of who your partner is, etc., maybe it'd be worth considering. So do you think you could ever envisage a point where it could be worth considering participating moving forward?
Absolutely. If rare earth prices spike to the levels expected by 2026, 2027 and onwards, it very well may be worthwhile for us to participate. And at that time, we would expect to have a Japanese industrial partner join the venture to take over either all or a portion of JOGMEC's interest. That is really their whole business model, is to de-risk a project in early stage exploration and development, then bring in a large industrial partner, which opens up much larger funding available from the Ministry of Economic Trade and Industry to fast track a project into production. So if that would be a real catalyst for us, Matt, if once we are able to bring in that industrial partner or partners, it could be a consortium of companies, into the venture.
But they would be Japanese.
They would be Japanese, yeah.
Right, okay, it has to be. That's the nature of JOGMEC's remit. Okay, just in terms of that price spike, I think that's the very thing that kind of terrifies most people about the rare earths place. What they're looking for is like a slow, steady, accretive growth on a sustained basis rather than this erratic behavior. Does that scare the Japanese?
They are very risk averse and very conservative, and they have maybe a little bit more conservative outlook on how far rare earth prices will go. They definitely would like to see, as you mentioned, as most companies would, more of a orderly increase rather than erratic. It's hard for long-term planning when you have such erratic spikes, and I think we will start to see that right in the next year.
Okay, so well, I guess the time will tell, and the market will tell, etc. But you're positioned well in terms of a properly fully funded project. Sounds like worst case is you get free carry for 21%. Not too shabby. I know you've been sort of raising little bits of money here and there, and yet your G&A is not particularly large. And you've also been taking care of other kind of balance sheet items by doing deals on thorium offtake and gold as well. So what can you tell me there?
Yeah, so we announced a tentative deal to sell our gold projects back a few months ago, but that deal has kind of fallen off. So we're just announcing today, actually tomorrow, that's being terminated. So we're looking at other options and other potential buyers or joint venture partners for these early stage gold projects. our focus is now entirely on Lofdal, so we don't really have the time to put into these early stage gold explorations. So we want to offload them for either to a joint venture partner or some upside down the road. One other really exciting announcement that we made just recently was this thorium offtake with a company called Copenhagen Atomics. They are developing a salt nuclear reactor that is powered with thorium. Thorium is a waste product for us that we are putting back into tailings. So this is a fantastic opportunity to add accretive revenue from a waste product. It could be, a material amount. It could be, a few $1 million a year in revenue to the project, which is fantastic.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting one with salt. We very little conversation around that one. It's been interesting to see how they develop that and move that forward. For sure, as a be a competitor to nuclear, I guess. Yeah. Okay. I'll keep an eye on that one. And anything else going on that you think are important for people to understand? Because, like I say, when the market's like this, you're under kind of close scrutiny, or even worse, being totally ignored. But you're slowly getting on with the business of building the business and creating value, but you're not getting rewarded for that. So what do we need to know?
Yeah, well, I think it's important for your viewers to understand how far advanced this project is and the importance of having a partner like Jugman, which can put the muscle of the Japanese government behind fast-tracking this project into production once we secure an industrial partner. We're a very tightly held stock, 65% insider ownership. We haven't put a lot of investment into investor relations and marketing. We've been more focused on delivering at the project level for Japanese partners. But the story is starting to get out, and I think the project is advancing to the level now where we can't be ignored much longer. And the real catalysts I see for us in the near term are delivering the PFS, securing a joint venture industrial partner to come into the joint venture, and rare earth prices starting to spike up. So I think we are a very effective hedge if you believe rare earth prices are going upwards from here.
Okay, well, Darrin, it's nice to get an update from you. Let's see what this PFS looks like in, so you said October time?
Yeah.
And actually give us a sort of firmer view on the scale of the project financially, and also hopefully some of the margins capable here. And I guess people can start doing some math at that point. Stay in touch. We'll see you soon.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Matt.